We have two,
Matt's on his way in.
3 people. 5. Oh. Russell. Christine. So Christine we can unmute her, right? She can unmute herself.
I can unmute myself.
Okay.
I guess so.
Yeah. If we'd known that, we would have locked it.
Yeah.
Ouch.
And Matt made it, change of plans.
All right.
So who are we?
Maybe we made it on time.
Everybody's there.
Yeah.
All right, so 7 o'clock. I guess we'll start the April 7th Temple Planning Board meeting. Call it to order. I guess the first thing to do here is the approval of the minutes. So has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes?
Yep.
Any questions, problems, corrections?
I just found a couple of typos. I can send them or tell you what they are.
If you can send them, that would be perfect, Christine. Thank you.
Sure. Yep, it's just on page 2, item number 4, letter C. It says Christine will send the source document Russ, so it just should be to Russ. And then under old business, number 3, the berry orchard. It's the second to last. Russ will ask Carol to make sure he is on NHMA's list. That's it.
I make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Second.
All in favor? Oh, roll call vote?
Aye.
Okay. Yeah. Aye.
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 The ayes have it.
Do you want to appoint Christine to be a full member? I don't know.
You have a full board, so you don't need to appoint me.
Can she? Can she? Can you if you're?
I think I don't get a vote, but I can participate in the conversation.
Yeah, okay.
I think you're correct on that.
I just read that.
I did too.
Work. Okay, so now we have invitation for public comment. And I guess I would say for this one, is anyone here that isn't going to comment about the berry orchard? So that'll be later on. This is something else, anything else other than the berry orchard? No? Okay. We're square there. New business. Since I assume you guys are here for the berry orchard, let's flip these around. And so the berry orchard, someone's filed an intent to cut. I guess we have Wes maybe would like to make some comments. Yeah.
Board
Anybody, it's open to anybody. Just say your name and then.
I can start if you want. Yeah. I just wanted to introduce myself, that I wrote the 2 letters about this to the board. My name is James Jones. I'm at 62 Commerce Road. And one of them is pertaining to a neighboring parcel and trying to understand the ownership of that parcel. And I learned only a couple years ago that John Barry didn't think he owned that. He told that to Eversource, when they were putting up phone poles. Ask Jamie Jones, it's his land. And I never talked to him about it, never wanted to do anything with it. He never touched it. I never touched it, just sat there until I heard that. And so, anyway, so now we have potentially a cut for this. And I've hired Main Street Title to find out what's the title for this, to research this for us. And They said that there's no way to find the title by going backwards from current ownership. They couldn't find anything. And they have to work, I don't know the details of this, but you work from like the back forward. And there's experts that do this. There's a guy, Brian, and he's trying to get him to do it for her, for us. And so that's where we are with that right now, is we're researching it. And I've got a professional getting to the bottom of it for us. So I wanted to talk about that letter and that specific item, but then the other ones, maybe we'll wait. The other letter I wrote around the soil erosion, we can talk about that separately.
Okay. Let's, just to address the, title issue, you would also need a surveyor, because a title person is going to find a portion of what you need to know, but not the whole thing. They can locate the title and say you have clear title to something somewhere. The surveyor is going to say where it is on the ground. And, it's not really a planning board thing, it's more of a civil thing. And then, like I noticed in your letter, you had said you intend to cut, so that could potentially be a timber trespass.
Right.
And you would want to do something with the state on that. And then probably have a surveyor, or if they're having a survey, contest it. You know, a boundary line dispute. That's more of a court thing than it is a planning board thing.
So is the planning board gonna manage the timber cut in general or not?
It's not under our purview.
I thought that it would be, after just educating myself on the rules and regulations on your powers. If somebody's planning to do development on land, and we know this is the case, they've been in front of us, that puts this in a different category of law. It's not a timber cut anymore, it's a conversion of land. And so that does fall right in your purview now, and you're responsible for quite a few things relating to this land,
It's not my take on it.
okay?
If they were cutting driveways in for their timber cut and clearing specific 15 spots for you know, log landings that seem to coincide with 15 lots, we'd be like, hey, that's clearly not. If we have a road, or putting in any kind of utilities, that would all of a sudden trigger ours. But it's been to the state quite a few times that the planning boards have lost, that we can't just say, hey, you might be doing a subdivision and we don't want you to cut it until.
But if you know the intent is there, and we
Oh, I
do
know.
we know the intent is there, then you have jurisdiction. And that's, what you're saying is, we don't know, we do know.
No,
I'm sorry, I was just gonna say, how do we know?
They've been before your board and
Yeah.
came to you and said, we intend to develop this land.
Yes.
That's how you know it.
all right, but we haven't seen a final plan.
No, it's not final, but I'm just saying, you know the intent. We all know.
Yeah,
the
oh, no,
intent.
I'm not debating either. I'm just suggesting that they came to us and said, yeah, we intend to develop. And then they sent a letter saying to the town, saying that we want to cut. But putting the two together, we all know or feel that that's what the implication
Right.
is here, but it's not, unless it says in that letter that we intend to cut for the purposes of preparing for development.
We have,
That's just
we have documents from
right?
them that indicate their intent. They've submitted them. Those
They haven't
surveys,
submitted anything.
Yeah,
those
they-
surveys were sent to you, weren't they?
They never submitted anything.
They-
To my
They
knowledge.
put them in front of
They-
your eyes.
It's kind of like a sketch at that point, at a conceptual consultation. They could have come in with, they came in with something very detailed for what they needed.
Yeah.
But still, conceptual consultation is essentially just a sketch to say, hey, we were thinking about doing this. What are your concerns? And I think we all made it pretty clear. The orchard was a big concern. The water was a concern. I heard some talk of the roads being a concern. But
So
now we told them to go back and figure it out.
if this were a standard timber cut,
Mhm.
then you would expect them to harvest, about the trees of value, not the orchards, for example. Right? If you look at the acreage you're cutting, it's orchard land as well. So that doesn't sound like a timber cut. Doesn't sound like a standard timber cut. They would be replanting after they do their cut, their clear cut. That would be part of a standard timber cut. That's not what they're indicating to do here. So I think there's a lot of flags. I don't know if you have to talk to legal counsel about it, but it sounds like if you have evidence that you know that the intent is to convert this land to development, then you have an obligation to hold up some safety boundaries on the soils. And that's what it's gonna come down to, I think.
I was gonna ask if we have do we think we have enough to make it worth, do we want to go legal?
I mean, it certainly doesn't hurt to go to legal and ask, but I mean, in my research.
Yeah.
Before this meeting, it was pretty clear that we can't say a whole lot. The RSAs are pretty clear of what we can do and can't do.
Can I just amplify what Jimmy's talking about? So when they came in for the consultation a month or so ago, it's pretty clear what their intention is. And that would be what Concom's view of that.
Yeah.
So, and it's really clear that it's unknown the level of contamination of the soils. And if you look at it historically, right, throughout the country and regional around here, it's highly probable that it's contaminated soils. So, and there's a Class A stream, which is a highest quality of drinking water. You guys all know all this stuff, I know, so.
Yeah.
So all those facts kind of laid down on the table, and then you come back and say, okay, well, we can't do plan A, so let's plan B. But it doesn't change any of those facts that it's probably contaminated soil. We've got a Class A stream in there. So our thinking is that, to protect the town for liability and things like that, we as a planning board / Concom should write a letter to the select board, because obviously they're the ones who control the yay or the nay, right? I mean, planning board doesn't control the intent to cut. Just reinforcing the concerns we had at the first meeting, and then layering in the intent to cut. You're still going to disturb the soils, so you're going to make the contamination mobile. You have issues with the stream and silt runoff into the stream and downstream into Wilton's property and into their drinking system. So I think it's still important for us to keep that risk in the forefront, and create a position letter for the select board, because they're the ones who are going to have to approve it, right? Approve the intent to cut, and if we're, my recommendation, our recommendation from the Concom is that no activity of any construction, nature, logging, farming, and should happen on that property until the soil question is answered. So, and then if it answers that it's contaminated, then that tells us in one direction. If it answers that it's not contaminated, that tells us another direction. So, I think that's, kind of what collectively two boards should do. Because again, I kind of agree with Jamie. It's just a dance around the regulations. It's like, okay, I can't do what I want to do originally. I'll do this first and then I'll go back at it. That's a whole nother can of worms that opens up, right? So if they do this as a forestry cut and then they come back in and apply for an application to develop, that we're all responsible for, that first decision to allow them to cut. And if we don't know the answer to the contamination, we're still kind of in no man's land. And that's kind of how I'm thinking about it. And again, I think we haven't even consulted the Wilton people yet, because it's the downstream, water contamination. Because the Class A stream, you guys know all this, I know, it's the discharge of contaminants into it that's illegal. So if we start disturbing the soil and then we get that silt discharge, I mean, we're kind of on the hook for it, I would think, but, for the approval.
Do
So
we have an opportunity to make a response that asking what the intent of the cut is?
What are the selectmen, have you met and have you discussed yet the selectmen, you have the application with the intent to cut,
We have the application, but
you haven't approved it yet.
we haven't approved it yet. It's on next week's agenda. But I also sent a bunch of questions to legal because according to the registry of deeds, the people who signed the intent to cut are not the same people that own the property according to the registry of deeds. I don't know if that's a big deal. They did send us a bunch of paperwork today that says they are the owners of that, all that buried property. Now, so I sent all that to the lawyers and asked them to figure out whether we can sign the intent to cut, but we have a meeting in a week, so if you guys are gonna draw a letter up, I suggest we do it fast, because I don't know that we can stop the, signing the cut, other than for a couple of reasons stated by the DRA. And none of those reasons are checked off on the boxes, so it's, I mean, it's clear to go. As far as I understand.
That's my understanding too, and it's pretty much a state, highly regulated thing through the state. The town, selectmen and planning boards have very little say because it's agriculture.
Now, we can invite the DES in and we can, you know, see if there's, but I still don't know if that's gonna stop us from signing that intent to cut.
I don't think you can not.
So right now, with the questions that we have, unless those are answered by legal counsel for Tuesday, we can't sign that on Tuesday, as of right now. That doesn't mean that on Tuesday we cannot not sign it, so I don't know what that's gonna be as come Tuesday.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's legally anything that the board can do to stop.
Well, can you put contingencies on that sign? Like, for example, one of the things I would recommend is that, I understand your lack of real power to control that, like, there's a lot of things like that. But we can do things like, okay, let's do a walkthrough. You know, let's make sure we understand, you know, you know, where the stream is relative to the cut and kind of walk through this stuff and, you know, you can put contingencies like that on it before you.
I don't know that we can, because that's a big thing. That's why I'm asking council on, you know, what we should do here. Because unless they owe back taxes or something else, we cannot stop signing of the intent to cut. It's their land. They can cut it.
Right.
So, I mean, unless something happens, not from now till Tuesday with council, I think the board is in a bad space.
Yeah, but like, again, if you think about the potential for contamination and the liability and things like that, so you can put some covenants around that where you say, okay, well, we can approve your intent to cut pending the results of your soil analysis.
But two, do we have to prove that before we do that, or do we have to wait and have them prove that? That's the thing, that, I mean, like I said, according to DRA, we're very limited as to what we can do.
Could the contingency include, alteration of terrain, language to basically say it's contingent on it passing the DES evaluation of alteration of terrain?
That would be if they were stumping it. So if they weren't just cutting doesn't trigger alteration of terrain. If they were pulling stumps, and they disturbed more than 100,000 square feet, which is like 2.5 acres, then that triggers it. But if they're not pulling, if they're just cutting trees down, it again doesn't hit that agency.
It says here, it says owner of land and stumpage. I don't know what that is. So, yeah, okay.
Can I ask a couple questions?
Sure.
So were there additional pages filed with that intent to cut? Because it references exceptions, but I didn't see a second page. Ken, do you know?
Not that I'm aware of. I know they sent 2 pages in today, but it was just clarification for the owners. I don't think it had anything to do with the property.
Okay. Okay, so as far as you know, there's no exceptions then, exemptions. Have they applied for a temporary driveway permit? Do you know where they're intending to access?
Not yet, no.
Does that come after you sign the letter of intent or before?
Well, it could come anytime they would get ready to make a landing or anything over there. The highway department would have to sign that, driveway cut.
Yeah, because I would think that you'd want to know where they're going in before, given the nature of the terrain over there and the road, that, there could be some damage done. So which leads me to my next question, and that's about a bond for potential damage.
The bond is for a class 6 road, but the class 5 roads can only receive a bond for just the very entrance, because you cannot prove. The argument has always been that, maybe their truck goes up, or maybe another truck has gone by and destroyed the road. I know there's another town nearby that got into a lot of trouble because they bonded class 5 roads. So the bond is only for a class 6, but we do have some on that property, right?
I think we do. So, well, on one side, yes.
The amount of damage that would occur, say if they entered North Road, would be $1,500. Because it would just be the pull out and the swing left or right. The only part that would be damaged is right there.
Okay, but if they went up one of the side roads to access maybe like a back section, then that would be a different story, right? If they were trying to go in like near the cemetery, for example, that would be a bigger issue.
That is a class 6 road and that would require a bond.
Yeah, okay. So does that happen after the intent to cut then, the bond? Or is that part of the approval process?
Gets in touch with the highway department when they get to the point where they're going to start trucking in there. Because we have to
Okay.
understand about the bridge and everything else on that.
The
Okay,
application simply says name of access road. It says North Road, comma, Putnam Road.
Yeah, Putnam Road is a class 6 road now.
Yeah.
yeah. So I guess that I would just raise that issue when you're considering the intent to cut, that might want to be addressed beforehand. But
Again,
just, I don't know if it can be required. I'm just saying that I think that's a concern.
I mean, unless we can come up with a concern in the law somewhere, I don't think there's anything we can do, because
Yeah,
they have to tell us where they're coming in. We have to sign the permit for their landing. And they have to make sure that it's fit when they leave.
okay. Well, because I talked to Tim Fisk earlier today, and he was saying that when that bridge was installed on Converse Road, and Kent, you probably know this already, that it was engineered, the design was engineered so that if there was ever any flooding coming down off of that hill, the excess water would go into the orchard in the area of Putnam Road, near where the old apple packing house used to be. So there is potential for some more significant flooding there if they're talking about cutting down a bunch of trees. All that water is going to run into there. And if it's contaminated, obviously that's a lot worse because of the aquifer. The only thing I could find about planning board triggering was if they were talking about logging in wetlands, which I haven't seen the plan, so I don't know if that's part of their intent, but if they're talking about doing some logging in the wetland, then that would trigger planning board oversight. And the other point I wanted to make was that if they're cutting as much as it appears that they're planning to cut, then if we get an application for a subdivision, then all of that can be taken into consideration and could be grounds for us to deny an application for a subdivision if they're affecting waterways and setbacks and buffers in particular. So just to put that out there, again, that is later in the process, should we get an application, and I know we haven't gotten anything official yet, so our hands are kind of tied as far as the planning board action, but I do think we need to look at the plan for logging and if any of it is in wetlands. I know there are some wetlands in that property.
I asked the speaker a question. Just, you said that the only thing you found for power for the zoning borders around wetlands, but what about in cases of land conversion activities? You didn't find anything about that?
We haven't technically received a request to subdivide yet. That's the issue is that, they came for a conceptual consultation. That's non-binding on our part and on their part. I do think there's a legitimate argument for liability, because we were really clear when they came to us a month or so ago that our main concern was the soil. And if they're choosing to ignore that, then, I don't know what to say about that. But I do think a letter to them is a good idea. And just so you know, we've shared all the public input we've received with the engineer that presented that conceptual consultation, that conceptual plan. They have all the documents. They have your concerns. They have the letter from Wilton Concom and the letter from Temple Concom. So they're well aware. But I do think a formal letter from the planning board, just, stating, hey, we have given you all the information to, we know that there's a high risk of contamination and, do with that information what you will, but there's not much else we can do at this point.
Could possibly give the indication that if they went ahead and contaminated things and did the logging and it turned out to be an issue after all, that there was no way we could approve a subdivision, because then the health and safety was been completely jeopardized.
If you read some of the orchards that have become Superfund sites, if you read the histories, what happens is the feds come after everybody for money. It's going to be, this could be a $15-20 million cleanup if they have to remove all that topsoil, if there's a problem. And they're going to come after not just the heirs, the owners of the land, even if they didn't know about it, they're a target for them, but also anybody that showed any negligence in the cause of that pollution. And so this is where the town, like as a citizen with my money on the line here too, we have to be very careful that we're not exposing ourselves by being negligent over the activities that we know are going to happen. We know the intent is to develop the land. We know that we're responsible as a town board. You're responsible for the safety and health of your citizenry and neighboring towns. And if you do not take on that responsibility and that role, then I think we really are open for very big financial penalty potentially if this becomes a hazard.
I think sending the letters and the selectmen reviewing the intent to cut, that's what we can do, and that's giving them the notice. We've told you what you need to do. And if they choose to ignore that and they do cause a problem, it's just like anybody else that's chosen to ignore something they've been told.
I think the logger should get a copy of the letter as well.
Yeah.
Are they doing a forestry SPN for this, or are they not doing that? Do you know? So there's two branches basically that if you have an SPN, it's basically a simple timber cut. It's not for converting land for development. And if they apply for that and their intent is actually to prepare land for development and they misled by going for that simple form, that's a criminal violation actually. And so they should be aware of that, I would imagine, but maybe not. But we should know what they're filing for permitting the logging of that land to the DES.
And it's not on the application.
I was just gonna say, based on what he just said, you'd think that would be, this is a state permit form, so you would think that would be in here.
It's the same one we use for everybody else.
Yeah.
And we never,
Well, that's the first thing I looked. If it said Temple, I was gonna say we should get that in our form, but it's a state form, so.
So this form came from our office, but it's generated from the state, and we only have one form. We don't, as Jamie's alluding to, there's actually two.
I only go with the one, and it's the normal one that we always get.
See, I'm not familiar with the intent to cut. Does that come with a plan? No, I mean, I have this, I mean, does it ever come with a plan?
Generally,
or-
no.
So they can just do what they want after this?
Well, I mean, they can do what they want to an extent.
Yeah.
But they have to stay on their own property. They have to, they can't harvest trees on somebody else's property. They can't, go transport anything through anybody else's property.
That's what,
So,
The
I guess my intention
processes-
is. Well, there's a distinction in my mind between, I'm gonna do a harvest cut, right, of specific trees, and they do list specific cuts. And a clear cut, right?
well,
What if
on the list on here,
What is it?
that to me, as a select board member, means that they went through, someone has figured out how many board feet per species that they're gonna pull out of there, and that's the list they start with.
But, I mean, what, my question is, does this constitute every tree on the property? Or 90% of the trees on the property?
Well, it says 200, it says 211 acre lot, 156 acre. For the
Right,
cut.
75%.
This is more like a tax.
It is,
collection.
yes, that's what it's for.
But if you clear cut, you still end up with the species list like this.
Yeah, my point is, all I'm getting at is, and this isn't just as a general statement, it's like, if somebody said, hey, I want to cut the woods on my property. The first question I'd want, what are you talking about, select cut, or are you talking about a clear cut? And if you're talking about a clear cut, then butters might have something to say about that, right?
I don't know that they can, because it's your land, it's your lumber, it's your
No,
property. I mean,
Yeah,
They have a buffer zone that they're supposed to. be-
well, that's what I mean, that's, we,
We go out there now to berries, you can see this, they've been out there marking corners, and you can see some of the trees have been marked for either to be kept there or to be cut down.
yeah, who knows what their mark means?
And what is Alan's role in this auction?
he basically is our eyes on the scene, so if we have any questions, we send him out and he verifies what they're doing and what they can do. Other than that, I mean, through the statewide program, but he verifies these. He actually signed off on this, I believe, or will be signing off on it. Pending my questions to legal.
So on the bottom of the intent to cut application for municipal assessing officials only, there's a box there with 6 items.
Yeah.
And the third item, the second item down says the land is not, it says the selectmen municipal assessing officials hereby certify that. And number 2 says the land is not under the current use unproductive category. Forgive my ignorance, what does that mean?
There's in current use, you categorize the different, like you can have a wetlands category, you can have a white pine category, other forest, hayfields and unproductive,
Okay, that's what it-
and farmland. So unproductive means that you don't, it's not intended to be logged or used as a farm, which logging would be considered a farm, an agricultural purpose. Wetlands are not part of an agricultural purpose. And I think wetlands, they still have to abide by wetlands board rules. They can cross streams with, their logging rigs and stuff, but they can't just go mucking around, especially during the growing season.
They can't go through, disturb, I mean, they can build bridges over,
Yeah.
with their logs and such. To get machines over and back and forth, but they can't go through any
Right.
streams.
Or fill it.
Riverbeds, anything.
Right, no filling streams, no culverts,
Yeah.
so that immediately triggers DES.
Well, that's also this, if you see this, the access roads are North Road, that's the upper section. And Putnam, that's on the other side of the stream, so they're already thinking about
Not crossed.
not crossing.
And if there are 2 different bureaus, so the DES has the wetlands and they'll deal with the forestry issues, I understand. But in cases of preparing for conversion of land, there's a different department, which is wastewater engineering bureau. And they would be the ones to be contacted if it isn't a simple timber harvest, which you can get by with that form I mentioned. But if they apply the proper form, if they are intending to make this land, to develop this land, then they have to file a different form, and that would bring up the wastewater engineering bureau. And they would be the ones to then have much more formal and rigorous review of the wastewater management. And this is where I really think it would be prudent to consult a lawyer, ask them about the 2 different branches of going, land that's intended to be developed versus just harvested for timber, and how that changes the role of the planning board. And the Conservation Commission also was change in that light as well. That's my reading of it. I'm not a lawyer, but I'd recommend, after reading the law on this, that you consult the lawyer on it.
And you guys use town council for the same,
Yeah,
for your stuff, right?
Yeah.
Mitchell Group.
so I
So
think,
that's where I went with my questions for the namesake and not having anything at the registry of deeds with their names on.
so I assume if we intend to ask any questions, we should make sure we're not duplicating effort.
Yeah.
Augmenting,
And,
yes. There you go.
And also, there's nobody in the office now till Friday. And then Monday and Tuesday. So it's gonna be limited as to what I have before Tuesday. But I have to have something to either sign it or not sign it. So I may be able to push it out another 2 weeks. I don't know that until I get to that meeting. So,
Could we get together on Monday maybe and talk to council together, since we have some common questions?
absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, well, Carol's not, it's getting with Mitchell Group is where we wanna be.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should do that before Monday.
Yeah.
Would you be
Yeah.
willing?
Well, I thought you said they weren't there, nobody's there.
No,
till-
Carol's not there
Starting
till,
Thursday.
Friday.
Only time for it.
Again, she's out Wednesday.
Well, we could talk to somebody anytime.
We can talk to them, but usually I have Carol set it up for us, so I'm not wasting their time by calling down there, and
Yeah.
I don't know who you usually send a email, Christine?
Yeah, I usually send an email to Laura Spector Morgan, and then she'll either answer it or she'll connect me with somebody else in the office.
Yeah. And we can do that, we can send that in on Friday, and Carol's there, so
Yeah.
if you guys want to get something, if you guys can get something for me by then, I'll include it with that to go there as well, so we have, and we're making one effort instead of
Right.
throwing the back and forth thing, and
Yeah,
Could I suggest that maybe Jamie would do an outline of things that he's concerned to have as a consideration if both of you need for legal?
yes, you can, you
That would be
can,
awesome.
submit something to Carol to have on the agenda for
Okay.
Tuesday night.
Okay.
And we can include it in the minutes, and we can also include it in the follow-up with council. As a concern with them as well. But like I said, I don't know their availability, so we'll have to find out Friday if we can get a meeting on Monday or maybe Tuesday. And then maybe we could set up a Zoom, and I could send that out, and anybody on the board itself could join that meeting. Nobody outside of it, but the board itself and the select board, we could do a combined meeting with them and see what their thoughts are, so we have something for Tuesday. I know it's short notice, and it is kind of what it is, but if I don't have anything, I can't not sign it. And right now, the question is the names on here don't relate to what we have at the registry of deeds. So,
No one's actually giving you a timeline yet when they plan on starting this, or have you?
no, but we only have so long to sign these things.
Mhm.
We can't leave them forever.
They say May 26th.
Oh, it was on there?
That's when they want to start. So we have a month or less than a month before they think they want to start.
Was that on the intent to cut?
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Yep, sorry.
Anticipated, so it's just a month. It's not like May 15th.
Right.
Yeah, and I know we, as a board, only have so long, and we have questions, so we've sent them back something that says we're not gonna get back to you until, and I'm not sure exactly what that date was, that Carol sent them yesterday or today. So we can find out that on Friday as well.
Okay. And probably should, I can write up a letter or something to go to the owners, the logger, and the consultant, Fieldstone. Say these are, just to reiterate, these are the concerns we have, and this is what we've been told is happening.
Did we already send something to Fieldstone as to the considerations the board, the planning board had with their conceptual drawings?
Yes, they got that, and they got copies of the minutes, the copies of the letters, so they can't not know.
Yeah. Well, we can just reiterate it, make sure that, you know, as of this date now, we have these other concerns
Yeah.
that have to be put in there too. And like I said, I don't know as to what the board's going to do, and I can't suggest that we can go either way. But if the board doesn't have a choice, the board has to sign it. I mean, it's tax revenue, it's all kinds of things, and that's all DRA and
Yeah.
all that stuff, so I mean, we can't.
That's what I was reading earlier today. The town, the selectmen really can't. You have to have a pretty big reason to say no.
And really, at this point, we can't prove that there's anything there because nothing's.
No one's been
tested,
tested.
Nothing's been done yet.
Right.
And it's been sat vacant for, I don't know how many years, I mean, as long as I've been in town.
Wonder if it'd be worth asking Fieldstone, had they started any testing or done anything that preliminary anyways, that might, they could share that, yeah, we definitely found some stuff, or no, so far we haven't found anything, you know?
Mhm.
Either way, it would,
Well, they promised not to do any testing or digging until they come back to this group anyway. So they should say, no, we know their answers, no, they haven't done anything. Unless they've broken their agreement with you.
Yeah, because I
said
know,
no test
I
pits.
believe I know the lot you're talking about and the question of, but I believe that lot is one of the numbers in the other lot that Barry already has. So I'm not sure how that works out.
Yeah, so there's a few questions. So one is, you're probably referring to that triangle on Converse Road where we can't find any description in their deeds or ours. And so we're having it researched right now to find out the true ownership of that. And so that's why I sent a letter, said, hey, you know, please don't allow a cut until they've proven they've owned it. I don't know if they have a survey that they've provided for any of these cuts, but you would hope that they know their ownership and boundary, and they would prove that to your groups.
Well, I know they've done a survey. I don't.
Not on that
They
side.
haven't, nothing on that side.
No, because their subdivision only sticks on this side of the road.
Yeah.
And
They called it remainder lots, and they just said, we're not doing that, but they're gonna forest it, they're gonna harvest the
So
timber.
that's west and north toward your property
that triangle,
from the cemetery.
And the north, there's two parcels, both, they call them remainder lots. We don't have to survey those because we're not building on them. But if you're gonna be cutting them, you gotta tell the logger where the lines are somehow.
I think the loggers are sort of licensed to do that as far as, so they're not licensed to do boundary surveys, but they're licensed to figure out boundaries well enough to cut.
Okay,
And a lot of people find it prudent to get a surveyor instead.
There's a lot of slope on that triangle too, correct?
Yeah.
It's pretty steep when you start walking.
yeah, not much value.
No,
I don't know if this is helpful, but if you consider going to UNH Cooperative Extension. Says educators can provide guidance on timber harvesting laws and regulations.
That's where I've been learning most of what I've learned. That's, you know, some of these documents. And so that's where specifically this is from their document. It says, please note that a forestry SPN cannot be used if the property is slated to be converted for development, subdivided into multiple lots, or any other non-forestry use. And so that forestry SPN is something that we should become familiar with, because that really dictates whether it's a simple timber cut, or if we all are aware that there's an intended conversion of land use, then we know that this is not, this simple timber cut process is not sufficient. And it actually makes you guys on the hook for the safety of the public, for the public good in this case. And also the Conservation Commission. It gives you more power, knowing what they're intending to do.
So Christine,
Yes,
So
yes, I'm here.
so like Randy has the plan out here, so the consult, what do we call it,
Conceptual consultation.
consultation, so I did read that earlier today, that is a non-binding, and it goes both ways, the planning board can't be held liable for a conceptual consultation, as well as the applicant.
Yep,
And so that's where you were alluding to earlier.
correct.
So even though we do have a plan in front of us that shows 15 building lots, clearly that is their intent. Because it's preliminary conceptual, you're saying that technically they're off the hook.
It's non-binding, so they could come back to us with a completely different plan at the end of the day, or they may have decided that because we raised all those concerns, they're gonna log it and take the money and then sell it.
Well,
We don't know that they're gonna still subdivide it at this point.
If they
And I
stop-
think we made some pretty, we raised a lot of red flags, and we also made some suggestions that they completely redesign what they presented because we didn't think it was a good idea. Right? We asked them to consider PRDs, fewer fewer driveways, that, avoid, put in some more open space. We made a lot of suggestions that would have been pretty significant changes to what they presented to us. So,
Well,
but we don't know if they're gonna move forward or if they're gonna log it and then sell it.
just speculating. Well,
Yeah,
the other thing that would have made it a lot easier in this process is if the applicants actually, I know one of them doesn't live in New Hampshire, but the applicants had showed up or had reached out to us.
Yeah.
But not only have they not done that to state what they're thinking, what their process is, but neither has their representation from Fieldstone.
Right.
That's crickets ever since the initial visit.
right. And I think that one of the owners was on virtually for that meeting. He had called or zoomed in, but he didn't speak when Fieldstone presented. So I believe he was on. I believe the representative from Fieldstone indicated that he was online, but he wasn't speaking. So if he was online, he heard all of our concerns.
She was as well.
Okay. So it sounds like we have a plan.
Yeah. So we'll talk Friday.
Yep.
And set up maybe a Zoom. I'll come up with a letter to send to those guys, and maybe even in the letters, ask Fieldstone to, hey, could you acknowledge that you got this?
And I'll provide the outline requested.
What your requests are.
To this board?
Yep.
Okay.
You could send the letter certified too.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Send it to Carol and ask her to put it on the agenda for Tuesday.
Yeah.
So, and then we'll just add all the attachments to the minutes, so that on record.
When, now did that 15-day clock start here on the 27th?
We sent them a letter and changed the date, I believe, and I'm not positive what that date was, because we did have to look up a few things, and they did send us some paperwork, and we're still researching with council.
Okay, so we're not, our 15-day clock is slid a little.
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
I don't think it's slid that much, but it's definitely, we definitely pushed it a little
Well, it's
bit.
not Tuesday.
Yeah, no, it's not Tuesday. No, but if it, normally it would be come before that meeting and get signed and sent the process, but, if I have legitimate things that I can do and push, all I can do is push it to the next meeting.
Yeah.
And that'll give us 2 more weeks, but I mean, I don't wanna say that because I don't know what's what yet. Cause like I said, the DRA and the others have us tied, cause it's actual tax money that we're keeping from the town if we don't sign the intent to cut.
Did we have, at the last meeting, I thought we had somebody on the board was gonna call, or maybe it was one of the other, maybe it was the Concom, that other apple orchards in the region, like Hollis had one not too long ago. There's been cases, like there's lots of them, I'm sure, all throughout New England.
Yeah,
That
Hollis.
was me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I spoke with Alec McBarton, and I think he's on the thing. But he said the Conservation Commission here knows all the contacts, and they've been very closely
Yeah,
looking.
I mean, Kathy's contacted one of the DES guys who, I don't want to speak for you.
Well, yeah, I mean, I contacted both Alan Oxman and the county forester and the state forester, and they all have said the same thing. They can't stop this. They can't do anything about soil contamination. What has to happen is that DES has to have that documentation of soil contamination, and then DES can shut everything down. And so I did a document request on their website, and what that does is it searches the entire DES database, all departments, for any documents that were filed, since the time they started filing them, for any of those roads. So I basically specified every single road that was touching the berry orchard. And that came back with nothing. So, it would have been great if we could have found those soil test results from the past, because then we could have submitted those to DES as proof that there was indeed contamination. But obviously none of us can go sample the soil now.
And didn't they, what was the purchase of the pesticides too? Did they dig into that too? I thought you said.
Yes, I did have them look
No
and
record.
see if there were any pesticide records, and there aren't.
So that'll be another.
Probably too old, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that'll be another piece of the puzzle, right? There's everything first and then.
I think legally they're supposed to still have those records, because Chris Connolly has contacted the Department of Agriculture, and they said anybody that used them over this time period should have records filed by whoever operated it. And I think there are 3 groups altogether that operated, and they should be able to find them if they did what they were supposed to do. So
At DES or?
no, at Department of Agriculture, I think. Yeah.
When they stopped, was it in the mid-80s, early 80s, mid-80s? They stopped.
McLeod Brothers, because they did our orchards.
So McLeod was had a note.
Milton, yeah.
So, this is George Russell. I'm on the Zoom call, and I know we're not supposed to talk, but as an abutter who's on the downhill side of the proposed logging activity, I just had a question for the planning board. Presumably in the town's effort to maintain the North Road that separates the Barry Orchards to the west and my land on the east side of North Road, the town has developed a series of culverts that run underneath North Road. They collect the stormwater runoff from the Barry Orchards currently, and they direct it onto my property, which goes into a stream. We don't have a home there. We've never, been bothered by this. But are there any plans, or could you please have some consideration for the inevitable runoff that's going to come from massive logging like this, and how that runoff from contaminated land is going to run through pipes that were installed by the town to go underneath North Road and to drain on our property?
Can I ask if he's ever had soil tests done? I don't know if he can hear me, on his own property where that water's coming off?
Did you hear that?
We intend to conduct soil tests on our property prior to any development or logging. Yes.
Smart.
That might give us some information, but they probably aren't gonna be able to be done ASAP though. I don't know.
I mean, from what I'm learning on the soil testing, it's all about, spot testing is not as valuable as,
Correct.
a matrix.
Correct.
So
Correct.
that tells you the real story. So it's expensive.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
My intent in bringing this up, it's the town is I think, involved as waters are directed by the town from one landholder to another. And we should be considering the risk associated with that. Risk to the town.
I've got a question, and I'm a member of the Concom. Could we ask that if you do testing, if you would be willing to send the results to the Concom and the planning board and maybe the select board if they want them?
Yeah, this is not going to be an independent effort. I look forward to working with the town on this.
Okay, that would be great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, Alec, Martin, so do we want him to speak to the orchards in London?
I mean, I don't know if he's on or not.
He is.
He was.
I just thought,
I'm not sure that Mr. Russell's question was answered. He was asking about the roads and the culverts, and maybe this is a Kent question. How much can they manage? Like, were they designed for more runoff, or can they handle more runoff?
No. No, they're only designed for the current amount of runoff there was, and he's absolutely correct. If there's a big development up there, it would have to address a lot of water issues.
Well, not even the development. I think the logging, cutting down a bunch of trees will cause more runoff.
It does. I usually have to increase the size of culverts after a logging operation. It's common for them.
So I guess for me, this goes back to the bond question, and is that something that can be taken into consideration when we're looking at a bond?
I've never heard of that done. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah, and I don't know the answer. I'm just asking the question.
It's damages.
You could do it for the whole concept, right? I mean, when I think about the bond, I think, okay, this is potentially contaminated land, and you need to test for that before you do any activities, and you could, request a bond for that type of risk, which is relatively large.
Right.
It would be bigger than a bunch of culverts.
Yes.
So, be multi-dollars.
Did that RSA that I gave you, the 45, was I off on that? Was that?
No, this is a alteration of terrain thing.
So it's right spot on.
Yeah.
Good.
So,
Back to what,
yeah, can I have this
you
book?
said earlier.
It's mine, but we can borrow it. You can borrow
If they're
it.
not pulling stumps, then they don't have an alteration of terrain.
Right.
I would add that to the lawyer list of questions,
Yeah.
because I think logging is considered a disruption, and it has to be over I don't know what it is, 20,000 square feet, there's like a certain 100,000.
Yeah, it's 100,000.
2 acres or something.
Yeah.
And if it contiguously, which this would be. But again, I don't want to speak as your lawyer. You have to ask that question. That should be on the list. I'll put it on my outline. I don't think it's just pulling stumps that would qualify.
I didn't interpret that. Did you interpret that as stumps?
No, I didn't.
I didn't either.
It's
45, it's a
45A-17 alteration of terrain.
45A, 17.
I don't think skid trails alone would be an alteration.
Yeah. I mean, my land is logged and it's just skid trails everywhere and stumps everywhere. And it's ugly.
Yeah, but it does, it totally changes the flow of water.
Mhm.
Totally.
And they always heal in time. But we're talking about possible contaminated soil.
Right.
But that's the difference. It's not just normal soil, possibly.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the huge issue right now is it's possible. It's an unknown at this point. I mean, we can guesstimate all we want, we can assume all we want.
Yeah, somebody should be testing the soil. And it should be the responsibility of the owners to, before they come to our boards and ask for permission to do things, to, cover that question. So it shouldn't be our responsibility to go and spend, thousands of dollars to test the soil. To say, okay, fine, your permit is decent enough, we've verified it. You should verify that your land is developable, it's loggable, and it's not contaminated. And again, there's so much history on contaminated orchards. I mean, it's just the way it is. I mean, you've had that experience, probably, right?
Butters have witnessed the spraying of pesticides and have noted the powders stored in the sheds. there's eyewitness accounts of the pesticide use on that property, so I don't know what you would need besides the soil testing at this point to prove that they've used pesticides on that land.
Well,
It's just the mechanism to be able to force the landowner to do that.
Yeah.
How to do that.
or the town issues a cease and desist for any activities on that property until that, it's sampled properly, and we get the answer to that question.
If it's legal to do that,
I don't believe we can.
Right.
that's the question.
Right,
Yeah,
but that's what,
yeah.
you know, have you asked, I mean, have we asked legal that direct type of questioning?
That's one of my questions, yes.
So, I mean,
Knows a lot about the Appalachian situation and why that's.
We have one.
Hi, Alec.
Pop him, can I pop him in?
Is he gonna, I think Alec may be trying to call you around. He picked up his phone.
Maybe you have to unmute him, or can he unmute himself?
this is Al.
Alec, can you unmute yourself? Or do you want us to?
I think that's his one.
We can't hear you.
If you click the ask to unmute, then I think a button shows up on his screen, which would make it easier for him to.
Well, that says he's not muted.
Right.
There's something wrong.
We have it.
I can't unmute it.
We have it now. We got you.
You're on. You can't hear.
All right. So what's the question?
What did you?
Well, it's, you have some experience with developments and apple orchards and pesticides. And we're maybe hoping maybe you could enlighten us with some of your experiences or concerns that could help.
Well,
us.
I can share concerns. There's I guess Jamie had a article, there's a delay here, that looked into sources of arsenic in drinking water. And basically, if you have an orchard, this is what was reported in the article. If you have an orchard that has been in, I guess, use for a long period of time and primarily used the lead arsenate for, pest control, huge amounts of material were placed on the orchards, say from the 1930s, 1920s forward. And the only way you can tell what's there is to actually do the testing, which you guys have talked about being the grid testing. So that will tell you what's actually there. But what this study also looked at was the contamination of the sediment coming off those orchards and ending up in streams. And it's not insignificant. So I think George's concern about the runoff through their property, I think, is well placed. And there should be some type of stormwater management to try to capture that sedimentation before it leaves, before you know exactly what you're dealing with. I don't know if that helps. But I do know, in talking to a hydrologist that about this, he was familiar with a orchard in Londonderry where they ended up having to take, if it was going to be developed for houses, they had to remove the top 6 or 8 inches of topsoil because that's where most of the contamination was. So it just gives you, I think, pause, because I think we can all agree there's something out there. We just don't know what degree it is. My sense is there's probably more than less.
What insured was it? What insured was it, Linder or
Hollis.
In Hollis. Could you shed some light on the apple orchard in Hollis? And what they, were you familiar with that process they went through?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay.
No, it was Londonderry.
Just Londonderry, okay.
What about Peed Hill and Wilton?
That was done at a time, it really wasn't brought up till later. And I think that was done at a time as this topic was sort of growing. I can share anecdotally that I had one client that went to look at those properties, did so after a rainstorm. What he saw in the puddles gave him pause, and he turned around and left.
I did share one document from the National Institute of Health with this group and the other boards as well, entitled Erosion and Physical Transport via Overland Flow of Arsenic and Lead Bound to Silt-Sized Particles. And it's specifically around orchard lead arsenic contamination and where the chemical resides in the bottom. It's like within 10 inches, it binds tightly to the soils, and it remains relatively safe for the community there until that soil is disrupted and disturbed. And then with the flow of the silt goes arsenic, more than the lead actually, down into the wastewater. And this is, if you get an electronic copy, I have extras here, but this is specifically about New England orchards and the risk, the transport of those arsenic, and lead through that process, and exactly the risk and the science behind that risk as well. So it's interesting read. It's not that hard. It's only about 10 pages to run through. So I'd recommend we all get up to speed on how it mobilizes. I see your own.
Yes, that's the one you just sent out.
Yeah. I printed these just in case. I get that one here. I have two more.
I'm all set. I actually got it.
Yeah, I have it.
Yeah, me too.
I read it.
Alex, if the arsenic is mobile, by the sound of it, through the lower levels of soil and into groundwater, that would imply that it could already be in the stream heading into Wilton's backup drinking water reservoir. Has that water ever been tested for arsenic?
I was just gonna ask the same question.
Yeah.
Well, you had one.
I think that is right now a backup reservoir. The town drilled wells in the early 80s and sort of severed the connection with the reservoirs. However, if the town wells became contaminated because they draw half their water out of the Sewiggan River, there's connections that can be, I'm told there are connections that can be made to sort of access the water coming down Mill Brook. I think it would have to be treated, but it's there as a resource. And I think as far as the arsenic, it does migrate into the groundwater, but I think what Jamie, the article Jamie found, it tends to get locked up in the upper portions of the soil and probably doesn't migrate. I'm not sure, but my sense is it wouldn't start migrating till you disturbed it.
It's overland migration. It
Right.
actually goes about 10 inches deep, they say generally. I don't know, exactly like what minuscule amount might go lower, but it's really the overland traveling where the biggest problem.
Didn't you share something that there's a well close by one of those streams that has like
Yeah.
5 times the arsenic already?
Yeah, so it's blue mark. It's
It's
has a public well, and so she they have to share their samples over the years, and so occasionally they do a full chemical analysis, and so I just scrolled back and I found the first one that actually tested for arsenic, and the levels were 0.0242 milligrams per liter. And that is about 5 times the New Hampshire legal maximum for drinking water. So it's definitely elevated, would need to be treated, be difficult to even treat at those levels. And now you can't correlate that with anything really. It could be natural. We'd have to do a speciation test to see what the arsenic is, species 3, species 5, and then be able to correlate that with the chemicals, pesticides versus a natural occurrence in the rock. So, but that's something that boards have asked landowners to do, is to actually do those tests. There's specific tests that you can do to prove whether this is coming from the land naturally, or if it's coming from runoff from orchards or other contaminations. So, but it's just an indication. It's just to say, hey, look, here's a well that's right next to the stream. All this water is probably coming from that area. It could be from the bedrock, or it could be from the stream. We should find out more. So it seems like a flag that we should follow.
Temple itself has a high rate of arsenic in our wells.
Yeah, I have it in my well too, but I'm also in the Berry runoff.
I've got it in mine, and mine's never been an orchard.
Right.
But I've got very high levels of arsenic.
Yeah.
I mean,
So you
I've
can't,
run into it many times on water testing
so
property.
you can't prove it based on this, but it basically says, hey, you can actually find out if this is, what type of arsenic that is, and if it correlates to pesticides or not. There was
It's a private well, I don't believe you're obligated under any
It's a public well.
means, so it's a public well.
Yep.
Feeding.
Feeding the event center.
There's more than 25 people or something like
Well,
that.
yeah, that's.
It's a public.
If it's laying dormant, 6 to 10 inches down, and it has been since, for 40 years. And it doesn't, unless it's disturbed, it stays there like you had said.
Right.
Most likely,
It's organic.
it's gonna be like they're sticking your well and my well right here.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Right, but we don't know that.
Right.
But
Right.
I mean, really, even let's assume that it is all highly contaminated. I would be less concerned about the Class A stream, because you've got a big bunch of woods and buffers where erosion probably won't make it down there. I'd be more concerned about pregnant women and little kids playing in the dirt right around the houses. That, they make you get your house cleaned up if you buy a house with lead paint because it's in the soil around it. That's the part I would be concerned about.
well,
I guess the only aspect of that I think you also need to consider is the arsenate in the sediment and where that sediment ends up and who ends up dealing with it.
Yeah.
Which is why I talked about the stormwater
Basically where the millions.
management.
It's a health hazard, it's gotta be removed. The government will pay for it if they have to, but otherwise they're gonna be like sharks and figure out who they can accuse of being negligent or if just owning the land, you have to be liable as well.
so we have some
Well, I
direction.
think we have a plan.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we hashed this out.
Oh, one item for your plan.
Yeah.
I would include the forester if you're sending out, information.
Alan Oxman.
Well, not,
No, it's Reed, isn't it?
yeah, it's Reed. I think it's New England Forestry Consultants.
He means he's talking about, you're talking about the logger?
The logger I was already gonna, yeah.
Of the logger, okay.
Yeah, he said. Yeah, you should be copied on all of it.
Yeah.
Because he's part of that liability chain.
Mhm.
Plus he's also working in it. He's also working in it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and if you ask for the wrong permitting, it actually can be a big offense.
well, I'm gonna guess that logger, I know Fieldstone was surprised to hear about this. when they came to the conceptual meeting.
Which still surprises me.
Yeah.
Surprised
I don't know, I mean,
I was surprised, they were surprised.
I've surveyed for 30 years, and this is the first time I've heard this come up. I haven't done a lot of big subdivisions yet. I don't do subdivisions and apple orchards in general, I usually.
You just got lucky and never had to do one.
But this has never come up, so I was like, wow, this is a thing,
Yeah.
you know, so. But I bet there's a few people that don't know that, you know, maybe you're a logger that doesn't know that, you just, oh yeah, here's my intent to cut.
Yeah.
But I would think that they would still be liable to put up silt fence around anything.
Yeah.
That can be, or can have contamination, I mean, that's part of their job, and that's why we have the town forester as well.
Right.
So.
A lot of silt fence.
Yeah, so again, I mean, I think a lot of things have to go to council and see where we're at.
Yeah.
And what our options are.
So we are reaching out to Spectrum Morgan as well, and you're.
I
We're gonna
already
do-
have,
Oh, you already have.
so I'm gonna coordinate with Russ.
Yep.
And then when I know something, I'm gonna try and set up a meeting via Zoom
So we can
soon.
all be in.
But it can only be board members, it can't be anybody outside of the board itself and the select board.
Can it be Concom?
No,
Just planning board, select board?
just planning board and select.
Could it be Wilton board members?
I don't know because they don't represent Wilton.
Okay.
They represent
Yeah.
Temple.
That makes sense, yeah.
So, I mean, we're kind of tied until we figure out that part of it. And then the other question is the registry of deeds thing is because their name's not on it, but now we have papers that say that.
Because of
they're
probate
voters,
thing,
So,
yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, anybody can fill out an intent to cut, but unless the names match and the lots and sites match, we have to check all that stuff.
Right.
I mean, that's part of why we're doing it, because we want to make sure that we get the revenue back in to the town, because that's tax dollars coming back into the town.
Okay, shall we move on?
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thanks.
You know what to do? I have my old one from last year. Oh, yeah. I can get you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I'm sure it does that part as right.
Okay.
There's some good stuff in there.
Yeah, yeah, I like reading that stuff. Thanks. See you guys.
Yeah. Looking at that logging roads. It was all based on terrain. It was cutting roads, but I saw transport of forest products. That was the,
Yeah, it wasn't just stumping, it was.
you know, other things, yeah.
Did you find it? You ended up finding it in
Yeah.
there? Yeah. Well,
I think also getting the records from McLeod or whoever, because I remember as a kid playing in that barn, and we made forts out of those bags of stuff.
yeah,
That explains.
Yeah.
It's like, see, it's just too bad that you have to act after the fact.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's
Nothing
just.
you could do ahead of it.
It's
Now,
crazy.
I'm new to the planning board still, and I've never known of intent to cuts and things like that, but I always assumed that was just a select board thing. I didn't realize that it had anything to do with the planning board.
I don't think it really does.
I don't-
Everything I researched today
Yeah.
said it wasn't.
I don't think it does either. I mean, it's all tax revenue dollars coming into the town, so we have to make sure, like I said, we have to make sure the person's the owner, and they don't have any back taxes, because you can't get one signed. If you have back taxes, you gotta pay that first,
Sure.
because we're not gonna give you an extension on more, tax money coming into the town.
Yeah.
So you can run away with that.
Yeah.
So then we don't sign them, but I think, I don't know outside of that how we don't sign this.
Right. I just don't see how we as a board. have
I've never heard of the
anything to
planning
do
board.
with
It's not all your years on the planning board, it's never,
it.
No, it here, the stuff I
it's never come up.
downloaded, it said that
That's like-
the planning board
Mm.
can
Yeah.
be involved if roads are being built. Subdivision roads that are used as logging roads first,
Right.
and lots are being laid out and they're being cleared kind of.
That would make
for
sense.
lots. Then you're like, okay, well, you're clearing lots, you're building a road.
Right.
And calling it logging.
Yeah.
That's much, and putting in utilities like culverts and stuff like that.
But that's not what they presented to us. They were road frontage lots. They weren't.
Yeah, there's no roads at all.
All
Well,
road
you-
frontage lots.
Yeah.
Right.
So where you could say something is if all of a sudden there were 15 logging landings.
Yeah. right.
You know, it's like all on the road. Oh, look, every 300 feet, there's a logging landing. Okay, well, maybe you guys.
It looks like a building lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, in the intent to cut, saying they're coming off North Road, that's a long road. That encompasses from the corner
Again,
Of-
it goes back to.
of Webster all the way
Well,
up
they're gonna have to go.
to the town forest. There's
They're
North
gonna
Road.
go to
It goes,
Limeburg.
it goes back to the highway department where they're actually gonna put that driveway in with that cut.
Yeah,
They're not gonna use the whole road. They're gonna come in somewhere specific.
Do a log landing.
So
They're
that
gonna-
they can put their landing there so they can get the truck in, load them and get them out.
Right, so there's the orchard on the paved section of North Road. You're heading north on the left. And then once you hit the dirt portion and you're heading towards Limeboro
there's a
on North
bridge.
Road, you go over the bridge, there's a bridge.
They have to go to Limeburg.
Yeah.
North Road.
And
goes
that
to my
is,
house.
that's also North Road. So really, there's two areas that could be logged that are North Road, two different
And-
parcels, really.
And
North,
they
North
got-
Road ends at the
and then
Limeburg
Putnam.
line.
But on the paved section of the road, any log's gotta be up on the hill, because it's all, the front of all that road is all overgrown apple orchards. All that frontage on that section of the road is
Yeah.
nothing but overgrown apple orchards. So that wherever they're logging has to be well up the hill.
Yeah, it's probably up by the right end, almost to the intersection of Webster.
Correct.
Where the old farm was right there.
Mhm.
Well.
Did we jump over SWRPC? Did we go back?
We jumped that. I don't know if there is much there for us to do other than sort of a notice, right? They're just saying that the state doesn't have any money.
Well, I have a question on
Okay.
that Ken's here. Is the state saying that they don't have any money for roads and bridges and all these things? Is there anything that we have coming up in the coming years that could be tied to these funds that are no longer available?
The only one that we're affected by is the block grant money.
Mhm.
And we don't go after bridge funding. Because they inflate the price so high. We do our own bridges, we actually save.
And that's part of the problem with this is that the numbers have gotten
So huge.
Yeah,
To do the Powers Road Bridge, they quoted me $1.3 million.
You did it for like 300 or something?
And I did it for 100.
yeah.
And it's beautiful.
Yeah.
The other thing too is when the state does it, you have to have, it has to be big enough to create enough room for overflow. You also have to have a walkway for animals to go underneath the bridge.
Yeah, they go nuts.
All that Converse Road Bridge has all that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why it was 3 point something. million.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was right up there. And then the spring flow comes down and washes it up.
Watch.
Yeah.
It's just idiocy.
Okay.
So no, we are not attached.
So nothing in there affects us as a town.
Yeah, and I know when we did the Converse Road one, we did get a bunch of grant money for that, but that's not, I mean, that's why we went to the bridges that we're using now and we're doing it with tax dollars.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I was on the Southwest Board for a bunch of years, and the only thing that we had statewide was from kind of where Colburn Road comes in on 101, and they were gonna go across the Quinland and end up kind of where Ben Sugar Shack is to make that straightaway there.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
And that was almost at the top of the list, and then it would get hit back down and then almost, and obviously it never happened.
Never happened.
And it just disappeared. So, but that was on for a good 10 or 12 years on there. 10 most on the list.
Yeah, and that's dealing with a brook too.
Yeah.
Because the brook meanders back and forth through there. That's probably one of the reasons they didn't do it.
Yeah. Well, I think they had an accident study for a long time, and that's where all the accidents were, right on that corner. Yeah, so we wanted to change that.
All right. Old business. Morninglight Farm.
I didn't sign, did you get that sign? I didn't sign.
I know, Carol's on.
I know.
So you guys gotta stop in and sign.
How it can be built.
Randy's things. Well, the sign copy at the
registry,
at the registry, yeah,
That's
that's
just our copies,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
they're
it's
just,
not stopping you from anything.
it's just sitting on our desk.
It's just sitting there. Cause so it's me and
Yeah.
We both, you didn't get down there either?
But, you know, and I thought about it, I wonder why nobody's harassed me. And I'm like, oh, I know why, because it's already at the register of deeds.
Yeah,
So it's-
every time I drive down or she's not there, I always I pick the wrong day.
As the same with me.
Yeah, I
My
have to
wife
make it a
went down to
point.
register, we were gonna go
Monday,
down
Tuesday, Friday.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Monday, Tuesday, Friday.
so Friday,
Carol's.
this Friday.
this Friday, yeah, sign.
Yeah. So David Corliss, those are still waiting there, the Mylars. I was thinking Pete should probably sign them, because he's got a block, we talked about having him not sign them, but I kind of feel like our regs say he signs the plans, everything else signed, and it's not that hard for him just to come down there and sign it.
Also, they haven't been delivered to the,
Haven't been recorded.
because you're waiting for Peter.
Yeah, and Carol said she's asked him a couple times, and I'm just,
I think he's waiting on that for closing. I think so that does have some time.
So that's some time, okay.
Yeah.
so she said today she was gonna give him another call and see if he could pop down, and then we just gotta figure out who wants to go over to Nashua and record it.
I can do that.
You can do that?
I can do that.
Just let me know when they're done.
Yep. Tax map updates. There was a question about the budget on those. So we have $1,000 this year that we did it.
Yeah, I didn't understand that email.
Well, we did, when we came up with that, they told us $2,000 every couple of years, what we've been doing.
How much was it?
2,000 every 2 years.
Yeah.
So we put $1,000 this year and $1,000 next year. And I think we're at $1,300, something like that, $1,383.
So we're over the allotted amount.
Over by like $300.
Yeah.
So we just wanted to see if that's okay with the selectmen, or we can.
I don't see why it wouldn't, but, you still have to go to the, meeting.
Okay.
And just let us know you run over and we can sign off on it. I don't see a reason why for $300 that we're gonna come, to do that.
So I can come Tuesday night.
We have other places we can, squeeze for that.
So what happens if somebody comes in with a 15 lot subdivision?
Next year.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
you know, it's, yeah, it's,
Yeah.
because we don't have the.
We normally ask for a quote towards the end of the year. So as long as something doesn't come in like in, November, December, we'll have a quote by October from CAI. So we'll know how many we've had up until that point, and then we ask them for a quote. Does that make sense?
I think this year it just happened too, that we found a bunch of things that had to get fixed.
Right.
We still have.
So we ran over.
Yeah.
Yeah, we still have some lingering too that were past ones as well.
Yeah.
Like me living in Limeboro.
Yeah. So maybe you get your taxes cut.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I went online today, good job on the updating the zoning.
Well, I got a few little things to fix, but.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I just printed it out today, so. I can figure it
Like a zillion pages.
out. I know, that's- I can't do that.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't check out everything, I just checked out, I saw the solar in there, and
Yeah,
I saw the ADU and, yeah, workforce, all those changes are in there.
I would kind of like to rearrange it and format it, so like I said before, that that's like, when I have a bunch of free time.
You got my email, Russ, with the changes, yeah?
Yep.
Great.
So maybe you could, the SWRPC HOP Grant? Christine?
Yep, sure. So I haven't filed the final report yet. I will be doing that this week. I don't have the final invoices from SWRPC yet. So once those, they're supposed to come in by the end of this week. So as long as I get those by the end of this week, then I'll get everything submitted for the final reimbursement, and then we can pay them, and then Sherry Fisk, the town treasurer, can close out that account, and then that will be done.
Done, nice. All right.
So I did speak with Stephanie Frechette at the Office of Planning and Development about the National Floodplain Insurance Program. And she's willing to come to Temple at noon time to meet with us for an hour, hour and a half on either the 16th, if we want to do it this month,
Yeah,
the 16th or the 28th. I think they're both Thursdays. And because I know we talked about most of us could work our schedules around
yeah.
taking an hour out of the middle of the
Did you
day.
say 28th?
16th or 28th? Yep.
28th is a Tuesday.
Okay, so that, I guess I was wrong with the Thursday.
16th is a Thursday.
16th of Thursday or Tuesday the 28th. One or the other, she can do if we're gonna do it this month, and she said we'll do like a lunchtime. We could all meet in person, and she said have your questions prepared ahead of time and sent to me so that she can know, what to just, where we're at, I guess. Well, the more we can give her for information that we want to know, the better, I guess, is what the way she worded it.
I'm good with either day.
Yeah,
Pretty flexible.
I'm good with either day.
me too.
Pick one.
Want to get it out of the way? 16th?
Christine, do you have a preference on a day?
I'll be away for both of them, so it's
boy.
fine. You can just meet. I've done a bunch of their presentations, so that's fine. Don't schedule it around me.
I caught up to speed with you after the meeting anyway, right? Yes.
Yep, that's fine.
Already way ahead of us, yep.
So I'll do the 16th, get it done.
Yeah,
Okay, noon time.
Do we have to worry about
And where does that net here?
We could just meet, right, well, I'll assume we can get this room.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, can we
Schedule with Carol, yeah. If not, we can do this
Noon time is generally an issue.
pretty safe, yeah. So 16th noon time,
Just make sure you post it.
call Carol. So that has to be posted, huh?
Yes,
You gotta do it.
10 days before,
No,
like a regular?
24 hours, I think.
4 hours.
Oh,
You
okay.
just have to post it.
Yeah.
We don't have to put a hearing in the paper or anything, it's just a
Okay.
posting for us
That's something you can.
I'll do it.
as a public meeting.
So it's just a meeting with national. We're not meeting with FEMA, we're meeting with the,
Just do it like a regular planning board agenda and then just list her as your guest. She's from the Office of Planning and Development.
development.
Yeah,
Or-
and put, National Floodplain Insurance Program as your agenda item, but yeah, nothing special.
And we're booking that for an hour?
Yeah, she said hour and a half, that would be,
We'll do two.
You can just email me her stuff so that
okay, yep.
then I'll make a little notice and stick it up. I'll put it up like on the 14th or something. That works.
Depending what day is the 14th,
It's a Tuesday.
well, you're gonna put it up.
Yeah.
So you don't need Carol to put it
No.
up, send it to Carol, the exact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, work session.
I make a motion that.
Okay.
Well, yeah, once again, it's already 8:30.
I've been looking at if we're just looking at our procedures, we've already got one in hand here, and I think we've looked at it a few times and compared it to what the state recommends, and they're kind of the same thing.
I did that today, yep.
I don't know. Unless anybody had some thoughts, like what specific thing you might want to change or look at?
Well, on the state has a preliminary design review.
Yeah.
And applications for subdivision and site plan review, they have sections for those in their procedures, and we have a column. I think we have it. Don't necessarily. It was just one thing that jumped out at me.
Yeah. Okay, well, if there's stuff to look at, then let's do it next time, like closer to the front of the meeting.
So this chart right here, this appendix F.
Yeah.
It's pretty good,
Yeah,
but that's not us. That's from the Office of Planning and Development.
right.
That's just a recommendation, but we could
Adopt it.
adopt that.
We adopted that.
Did we?
Yeah, we did a preliminary thing in the beginning.
To add more rules?
Yeah.
Cause that tells it. I mean,
It's pretty.
that's it.
Yeah.
Good way to do it.
Yeah.
That'd be good. And we don't even have to figure it out, it's right here. I think some of this other stuff is all about like electing members and alternates and,
It's subtle differences. I read through the whole thing.
yeah,
It's, and I did read the handbook,
yeah,
Roman numeral 5 and 6.
yeah.
Well, 5 was most what we.
We're
pertained to
dealing
us.
with here, yeah.
And there was a few things in there. I didn't write them down, but I because I thought we were gonna do it, so I figured I'd go on and follow along.
Yeah.
But what did you find?
At the moment, there was little stuff and I was like, oh, this is what we should be doing. Or,
Yeah.
oh, we,
So I think there is a few things in there that we probably could do.
Yeah, that's why I was reading through this top at a certain point, but there was just a few little things that were different that.
Yeah,
okay, so we'll keep it on the agenda then, next time.
we don't have a lot else going on, so.
Yeah, what do we have on the agenda next time, really? If you think about it. Old business, Morninglight should be done. Dave Corliss should be done. Zoning ordinance, I'll clean up those little edits. HOP grant, Christine can just tell us. Be done. So yeah, it seems there's no, unless somebody comes in with a new thing between now and then, seems like, we could just have it a work session and,
Short meeting.
yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Thanks a lot.
No, you didn't ruin it.
Just screwed us.
Yeah.
To the send anything?
I think you said something before, and then all this world and stuff happened.
Yeah. It wasn't tonight supposed to be originally a
Yes,
short meeting.
yes.
It was.
Yeah.
Oh, I knew it wasn't, not with Barry on it.
Yeah, I know.
And then other business, I don't know anything about the legislature.
Evidently, right?
I don't know if anybody signed up for the webinars or any of those
I
things.
signed up for a few things that have popped up.
I'm gonna do, you remember now what's next. Vanessa and I are both gonna do that. It's just both different spots now. And I might like to, I don't know if anybody's done this hard road to travel.
I've done.
You just
Done
did,
that?
didn't
I've done it a long time ago, but
Yeah, Josh and I just did
you?
recently.
Josh,
Yeah.
really did.
I kind of think I might like to do that when I can also.
They are all over class 6 road.
Yeah, I know.
It's a good reason to go.
There is an RSA that these guys need to sign to establish that Stonegate is private. And the signature will codify that the town will never, ever, ever take that over.
Mhm.
It was after a 10 or 15-year period or something like that. So we should just, I don't remember what it is, but I've got to find it.
It's in the covenant. So.
Yeah,
Is
is
it
it gonna say, I thought we already signed.
So
you already signed it?
We don't, yeah, we don't.
Okay, then that's gone. That was the only thing that screamed at us.
Yeah, that was it.
Planning and zoning conference, I don't know if everybody's going to that. Here's one that seems kind of on point, is the Drinking Water Source Protection Conference. Given that, that's all we've talked about tonight is water.
Yeah, water. Hey, talking about that again, there are places there's no places that we could do testing. Because we have town roads through the Barry property. We have under the bridges, on the sides of the.
We don't have any money allocated for testing of anything, so
But testing is big.
unless we put it on a warrant for next year, we ain't gonna get it.
And I think in conjunction with a specific project that somebody else is doing, I don't know if testing, us going out and testing first is, I think we should tell them. to test.
I agree. I think we should
Well,
somehow.
I mean, the thing is, we have to do it the right way, so it does get done.
Yeah,
And we can hold off on our part till it is done. But I don't know that we can do that, because, I mean, DRA is pretty clear.
all right.
And we cannot not do that.
It's too bad there's nothing that says, like a report somewhere that says, yes, it's definitely contamination. Because I feel like you can't speculate and make somebody pay a bunch of money. You know, no, sorry, we were wrong.
Right.
And historical data just doesn't cut it.
Yeah,
The street just isn't cut it.
Well,
All right, well,
motion adjourned.
Nope, I am it from the board, so here I am.
all right.
Yeah, well, we assumed that. Welcome.
I'll be here for the next year.
Second.
Second. How's everybody vote?
Aye.
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 Yeah.
Hey, before you hang up on me, Kent, I'm sorry I'm not there in person, but if you want to swing by my house tomorrow, I can get that computer to you, or I can drop by your house, whatever you prefer.
You gonna be there tomorrow?
I'll be in and out, but Greg will be here all day, so you can come by here.
Look it up, thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Good night, Christine.
Good night.
What, so Kathy would send me her monthly, hours.
Yeah.
I print them out at home. Take one of these that I already had photocopied, go down to the office and just
Well, it-
just fill this in.
Okay.
You can put it on the computer if you want. I just never did.
I just.
Old school.
Once a week.
That's
Once a month.
what we call our vouchers.
Okay.
So that's how